Ready to start your journey? Whether it's your first workout or you are a seasoned athlete, Endurance for Everyone Coaching wants to work with you. Our coaching team has worked with athletes from beginners to USAT national qualifiers and are comprised of experienced runners, cyclists, and triathletes who have a passion for healthy living and have been where you are. We offer comprehensive coaching programs from weekly support to basic consultation, all designed to help you achieve your goals. If you want to take your performance to the next level, look no further than Endurance for Everyone Coaching. Go to www.teamE4E.com and click on the coaching link or send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And let's get started.
Welcome to this week's Endurance for Everyone podcast.
The following program is for entertainment purposes only. Though the hosts of this show are certified Ironman coaches, their attempts at long-course triathlons and endurance events should not be taken as an endorsement for you to do something stupid too. You should make your own bad decisions, then podcast about it. Now, let's start the show.
Hey, this is John Harris.
And this is Rob Bozovich.
And Endurance is for Everyone, and this is the Endurance for Everyone podcast. All right, it's episode 145 of the Endurance for Everyone podcast. And how you doing up there, Rob?
You know, I always say fantastic. I'm physically great, not injured, mentally sound. Would like to be a little stronger in my running capabilities at this point, but we can talk a little bit more about that later on.
Well, you guys,
all told, all is good.
You guys are having some serious heat up there, aren't you?
Yes, and let's. Let me ask, how are you, John? Then we could talk about the heat and some other stuff.
Oh, I'm peachy. How about
peachy? I thought you were fine.
I'm fine. Yeah, we know what fine stands for.
Yes, we do.
You have to. The listeners have to go back a few shows to find my definition of fine. But there's two definitions. One is the one I said, and then another one is failed in nearly everything.
Oh, there you go.
I'm not allowed to use that one though. So,
no, you're not.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but it's the motivation is down. There's there's reasons for that, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. So we started saying there a second ago the heat, and
I saw it was on the news down here how bad you guys have it up here. So
well, it's currently not. It is currently hotter. I'm using air quotes, not really. I don't need air quotes on it. It is hotter down there now. But so I have. In my iPhone, I have like a few save places. When I say here, which I should call home because I've lived here for 10 years, I havehome where, I grew up. I have where I go hunting. I always have Chicago in there. I don't know why I like Chicago. Meadville because I was just there, and Geneva, New York, because I was just there. That's the Finger Lakes, So I add things as I'm going to them, but I pretty much have my staples. The one I didn't mention was I have the villages. So it literally is Clearfield, the villages, because I'm always curious like what the weather's like, and there's a vast disparity there whenever it's winter. But yesterday or the day before, I was looking at that, and it was like 90 here and like 86 or 82 or something down in Florida. I'm like, it's seriously hotter in central Pennsylvania than it is in Florida.
I have noticed that lately, actually, because I have a few other clients that are up there too. And they've been talking about how, how hot it was, and just looking at what their stuff was, it's like, good God, it's hotter up there.
Yeah. It's why, I don't know if I shared this on here or not. My brother's, grandfather, he's my half brother, so anyways, but his grandfather had a place in Florida, and this goes back 20-30 years ago. They're still doing, they're down there now, but I remember as a kid I was like 6, 7, and I just didn't grasp it, I should say, and I get it now. He was showing us this photo, and it was like 98 in the shade. I'm like, I'm a kid. I'm like, well, how hot was it in the sun? He's like, well, it's 98 in the shade. I'm like, yeah, but how hot was it in the sun? Like, I'm just thinking like, why are you showing me this? Now I get it. If it's 98 in the shade, it's really freaking hot out in the
sun. as Jennifer used to say, it's crotch pot cooking hot.
There you go.
That's hot.
Yes, sir. We're gonna keep this PG and not go down that road. At this
point.
That's
from the movie Good Morning Vietnam.
Sure it is, John.
It is. Look it up. Robin Williams says it.
Sure. So, you want to get into some of our topics here, and then we can get into some of our, because it's going to, I'd say how we doing, and our other stuff is going to bleed back in. For anyone new to the show, if you're first time tuning in, what I want to try to, or to our current listeners, I should say, I'm going to go back to what I did in my one episode, give you a recap of what we talked about, what we're going to talk about this week, and maybe what's upcoming here. So last week, John, you had popped out the two, and I think you did it the same day. I wasn't paying attention. The two sprint episodes that I had done, which were What's in Rob's Bag, where I went through everything that was in my triathlon bag. And the second one, or second part of that, was setting up my triathlon transition. Yeah.
Yep.
So saying where I put the gear, what I did, and so forth. And as I listened back to them, there's a couple things I will interject here in a few minutes. Because I had said I went through and said, I'll talk brand specific, and I'll go through some of that, but it doesn't need done now. This show, one thing I want to cover is we're going to talk about shoe wearage, usage, however you want to say that. It was based on a comment my wife had said to me. I put one thing out there on Facebook, and I have actually put a little page of notes together here to go over, pulled an article to discuss as well. And then upcoming weeks, later in this episode, we're going to talk about motivation. And this, John and I are talking about a little bit off mic, like what's motivating for him and me and difference. And we'll go through just some general stuff there. Next week should be a recap for the Harrisburg Triathlon called the Catfish Triathlon. John should be calling me again. I should do my field correspondence, if we want to call it that. And John will call me, and I'll give a little more detailed race than I did for my Dam Tri rundown, because and I should say that was our former episode as well, was the Dam Tri. That was our very last episode. But with the Dam Tri, we had talked about it kind of ad nauseum, because I had talked about it 2 or 3 times. We had the race director on and so forth. I really don't know anything about this race that's upcoming. So I can summarize my training. John said it's race week, do what you can, because he put stuff on the calendar, and I already started rearranging it. Yeah. I don't know anything about the course, the competition, the field, the history. I know nothing. So I'll try to pick up some of that information while I'm down there and give the best of a recap and information as I can next week. So that's what we got. Last 3 shows were basically triathlon related. Next one will be a little bit mostly triathlon related. This one's, I'm going to say, more half running and half psychology. That sounds right.
We're going to give our get my psychology degree out now.
Blow the dust off it, John.
Blow the dust off that bachelor's degree and get it out there. I want to say something about your Training Peaks, that you do something that a lot of my clients don't do,
which is
you actually go in there and move stuff around.
Okay.
Like, like if you're going to do, like today, I think you switched to running the bike, right?
Correct.
You go actually and do it. So when I look at it, I can see you moved something.
Yeah.
Other people won't do that.
Now,
some people do.
Question about your clients and anyone who's not using Training Peaks, John or I can go in. You create these workouts.
Right.
So John puts them in there, and then you can kind of see, just looking at it quickly on my iPhone, you get your today snapshot, when I'm not going to go into the numbers, but it tells you your fatigue, your fitness, your form, like we had talked about. The next thing it says is your upcoming events. So I could see, because we have nationals on my calendar. We don't even have the catfish on the calendar here. So it tells me 5 weeks until USAT nationals. Then it says today's training, which shows today's, and then it shows a breakdown of this week's snapshot. Right. What have you done? What have you completed? What haven't you, etc. If you click the next button, it says feed. It's on the bottom. It then shows you kind of just your running list of workouts. So as an example, once again, today's at the top. I have today's run. Tomorrow I have a bike and a swim. Mm-hmm. Wednesday, John has nothing. I'm assuming off for the 4th. Thursday, John has a run and a swim. Friday is a bike and a run. And then Harrisburg Triathlon. Oh, it is on there on Sunday. Nothing on Saturday.
Yeah, it was on there. Yeah, I know I put it on there.
It didn't come into my daily thing. I
Yeah.
was just reading it right off my phone. So what happens is, explanation to John, though, he always tells me, do what you got to do. I was taking care of the little guy this morning. I was intending to get on the bike trainer before I went to work. I didn't have the opportunity. So I actually moved the run and the bike. It's basically you go in, I just click edit, and I change the day and put one back to today and put one to tomorrow. It's what was going to work for me in my schedule, so that way I can get the appropriate workout done. Now, the reason why I say I think it's important to move the stuff around is I could just say, oh, okay, I could have done a run today, and then tomorrow I could have done a bike. It will still log it in there. What will happen is the bike that was on today will go red because it received no data at midnight, and it'll basically be like, okay, you didn't do it. But a run will pop in there, but it's just like a miscellaneous workout. Same thing will happen tomorrow. I just like to have as clean as possible, as few amount of things on there. So as such, even John can say sometimes, like if I go for a walk with my wife, I might record it on my Garmin. Just I'm curious how far we're going, or I use those to track my shoe mileage and my gear mileage on Garmin, but I'll sometimes go back in and delete those off of Training Peaks. That way it's just not cluttered up with a whole bunch of things on there. But that way I'm using it on the other system because they sync on the backside.
Right. And so, and moving things
the
around.
Other people then, are they doing the workouts and just not moving them?
Yeah.
Or are they just not doing them at all?
No. Well, I can't say that for everybody, but I don't want to. Some are not doing them at all. Yeah, and I'm still the kind of coach that, like, I feel guilty, getting paid when they're not doing the workouts. But you know what? I'm still doing the work. But what was I going to say? Yeah, some will do it. Like, say they have a bike tomorrow, and they do it today instead. And today was an off day. Usually Monday's an off day in my plans. You're different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they'll do the bike today, but they didn't move it, so it'll look like like an unplanned bike today, and tomorrow it'll turn red because they didn't move, because they, so, and I go in there and I try to fix that, but once they do the workout, I can't add it in, you know what I mean? So I kind of create it, the plan around what, if I catch it, I'll put the plan into the one they've already done, and I'll just delete the other one just so it doesn't, look bad to me. I think sometimes besides you, and I think, I know Amy looks at hers, and I know Stephanie looks at hers. I don't know if everybody really looks at Training Peaks like I do, and you guys do. So, because I'm looking at, I'm even like following, I won't say who it is, but there's people I just wrote plans for that I still follow if it's in Training Peaks, because I want to see really how they do it. And I'll put an interjection in there. I did one yesterday for somebody that I just saw that their form was like really low. Yeah. And I want to say, okay, I know I'm not your ongoing coach, but this is really low. Are you okay? Are you doing okay?
Yeah. And that's why I look at certain things, but I still don't even track my pace to heart rate. Like you were just saying.
Yeah. I always look at that
on
too.
That immediately. Yeah. And I don't look at it. Maybe I should.
It's the first thing I look at, to be honest. It's like the first thing I look at when anybody does especially if I know it's hot, and I know you've been running in like some hot weather up there, which is why yours is not like it usually is, I think. Yeah. Usually you're like real close to zero, which is almost perfect. You're really on it. And then all of a sudden, like the last few weeks is like, I've seen some 9%, 10%, which is nothing to me, but to you, that's way off.
Right.
And I say, okay, this has got to be the heat. It's got to be just your heart rate's out of whack because of the heat. So, and I've seen it on a couple other people too up there. So,
yeah.
So you kind of got to play with it like that. I mean, and we've talked about this before. We all have our own normals, right?
Right.
My normal might be much higher than that. Your normal is usually within 3%.
Yeah.
If it's outside that, then I
say yes. I'm just agreeing because I don't know. I still don't even know where that is on my iPhone app. Like I'm literally clicking as we're sitting here.
Yeah, you have to actually pull up the.
Pull it up on
pull up
online.
The workout. Yeah, no, you can pull up the on your phone. You can pull. You have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you pull it up, the workout, and then I think it's the second tab, the second section on it on the left.
Maps and graphs.
Yeah, it's usually in there. but we can go into that. I can tell you.
We'll do that offline. Yeah,
I'll take a screenshot of it and show it to you.
Excellent. Feel free to share that in the group if you like, so people know what we're talking about as well.
Yeah, but I will say, like when you're doing that moving around on your phone, so you're actually changing the dates.
Yes.
But if you go to the computer, you can just click and drag them.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's a lot easier. So that's what I do. That's what I do at work.
Yeah, and the other way, and I'm not going to out you, and I'll let I do at work comment pass. The other thing, and you had taught me this once, and that is if you do mess it up, and if you're anal like John and I, you like to see the clean data. I make sure that when I get back, I'll stop my workout. I like to make sure that I'm going to complete it before I actually go in. So I'll be literally go do the run. Then at the end of the run, I stop my Garmin watch and it sits on the screen that says save and resume. I go into, which is usually pretty hard as I'm dripping sweat on my phone.
Right.
So I then go into my phone, change the workouts around, then save the workout so it uploads and does it correctly. If you did it out of order, I should say, if I just saved it and let it upload to my phone, it would then be one of those unscheduled workouts. What John's saying is you can go in then and edit, because on the left-hand side of the screen in the workout you have planned. On the right-hand side it says completed.
Right.
So if you just upload an unscheduled one, the planned side's going to be zeros. You can go in then and just manually edit or put in what distance, pace, whatever duration that you were shooting for. But if you use the one that was already built in there, when I say to get it to upload, there is a click. You have to do it from your computer. I don't know how to do it from my phone, because it'll have a data track. You can save that data track to your computer. You can delete the workout. You can drag the other workout. Then you can re-upload it, and it will work that way.
Yeah.
It's just easier to edit the 3 fields into the planned than it is to go through those steps, especially if you're computer illiterate like I am. So
you can't. I've not figured out how to do it on a phone either. I mean, the only way to do it that I've seen online is to go into Garmin or whoever you're using and save the GPX data file, and then upload it, and then at least you get all your heart rate data in. But like you said, the easiest way is just to do the one you did and get rid of the other one.
Yep.
So, and I can't see it. So you guys that are being coached by me, I know when you're moving stuff around. Yeah. So, and it helps me too, because then it's like I'll say his name, Tom, up in Atlanta, he's a doctor, so he moves his stuff around a lot. Yeah. So really, when I build a week plan for him, it's kind of a suggestion, because he's always all over the place. But I can see what he's doing, and that way I say, oh wait, he's starting to swim on Tuesdays all the time. So now I know maybe I should start putting his swims on Tuesday. Yeah. It helps me. So and with any. Especially with this, with anything, the coaching needs to be a two-way street. If I don't know what's going on, then I can't alter my side of it to help you. Yep. And you're all, we talk every day pretty much. But,
yeah.
But there are a few others that, I can't get to answer me at all, but that's fine. That's, I think sometimes it's like when we can get into this as part of the accountability section, we're going to talk about. But it's almost like they're embarrassed sometimes. Yeah. Well,
see, and and to some of you guys out there, whether you're using John or not, and we'll get back into accountability and motivation later in the show here, part of it. And that is I like to know everything, even if I don't know anything about it. I don't know how to say it that way. You know what I mean? Yeah, I walk into a room, people are talking. Hey, what are you talking about? And I like to get into the conversation and know the details and what's going on, right? But that said so when John puts workouts on my calendar, sometimes, and I jokingly though, he'll put a workout and then he'll title it one thing, but then, and you've heard me joke with this before, he'll title it one thing and then it'll say something else. So I'll say, John, you'll say it said an hour run, but you only put it as 5 miles. Do you want me to do the 5 miles or do you want me to do the 60 minutes?
I say yes.
Just go do it. So, but with that,
you want to go for 2?
Yeah. So, but then also there are some, and this is the difference between having a coach and just pull a plan offline. Like when I used to use, like I said, for my first half Ironman, I used, I guess my second as well, I used, the just offline beginningtriathlete.com, and I was literally cutting and taping or rearranging the schedule. But if you have, using the Hanson as an example, their running plan, they have hard day Tuesday, off day Wednesday, hard day Thursday, recovery run, long run. So they have it set in a certain thing that like you have some flexibility, but you should not go hard, long. That's going to defeat the purpose,
Right.
type of deal.
Right.
So that's why it's good to have that correspondence if you're having John or somebody else do your plan for you to know, hey, what was the intent of this, and what could I swap or what could I change or so forth, and
believe me, and I'm sure every coach would say this. We want to hear that. We want to know. We want you to ask us. And you've always been good at that. That's part of it. Is that why are we doing this? Why are we not doing this? And things like that. I mean, just as you know, you can buy a plan off the internet for probably $50 or $100 or whatever, and it'll work fine. But you don't have that the knowledge base, I guess. Sometimes not everybody has it to know why they're doing that.
Yeah.
And then you don't have I don't like doing that. Can I change it to this? So you don't have anybody to ask. Is it okay to do this instead of this? Is it okay to do this? Or if I need to miss this workout, is that okay? Or should I make it up? Or should I swap it out for this? Or whatever it is. That's where the coaching comes into it. Right. And that's where it's like a sounding board. So it's a partnership between the two of you, So that's really what the bulk of what you're paying for is that.
Yep.
Is that ongoing dialogue, I guess, between the coach and the athlete, and just to understand why you're doing things you're doing, and really to have someone you can go to and say, this sucks. Should it suck like this? Yeah. Things like that. So, and we can get into that too, because I think that's part of my motivation and accountability issue. But
instead of dropping this conversation to jump into a different one to come back to it, why don't we just continue with why don't we continue with the whole motivation part of it now, and then we can do my little shoe recap thing at the end.
Okay, that's fine. So, I mean, what I've been noticing, I got into a discussion really over the weekend with Jennifer, and just talking about how I've been feeling, the lack of motivation, and why those things could be. And it was really an interesting back and forth, and I start, obviously I start pondering about it on my own, and really coming up with some interesting ideas of what could affect motivation, and really thinking about what motivates me versus what motivates others.
Okay.
And we were talking about, before we went on air, a little bit about, what motivates you to go out there every day, and what would motivate me to go out there every day.
Right.
And you were saying that we were talking about traveling, and you were saying, well, you say what you were saying. You just talk about that.
Well, okay. So there's a little more build up, and I'm going to talk about it for a second here. And that is, and this is, I'm going to say opinion, although I know John and I have both read and reviewed all of the, I'm going to say articles, and John may have a couple handy, or we might just be doing this from memory here. But, it comes down to, first off, are you internally motivated, or are you externally, a lot of people, like, if you have the running partner, you're much more likely, and studies all show this, and everyone's heard the studies, we don't even need to quote them, but if you have somebody that is going to be waiting for you at 5:45 a.m.,
right,
you're more likely going to get up and go, versus if it's just you might find a reason not to do it, or oh, my phone wasn't charged, or I forgot my headphones, or blah 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 blah. We all can find excuses to bail on ourselves. At some point, we all will. So, when I don't know, and I want to say if it's more of internal or external motivation, but what I was saying and sharing with you, John, was that, I get up or get home or whatever, so I try to make the most. And that being said is, like, I'll ride to work with my wife, and then, we're only, 10th of a mile apart in our two offices. And then, she can pick the little guy up, and I'll run home. Or now that it's warmer, I will take him. Okay. But that being said, is why run home? Oh, it's only a mile from my house, but that's 1 mile. If I'm only doing a 4-mile workout, and I use only in air quotes there, that's 1/4 of my workout. Why would I drive home to change whenever I can just, leave from work and have 25% of my workout done by the time I get there, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so that's how I start trying to do things. But also, like I said, if I get up in the morning or when I get home, if I'm going from there, I'm not saying I'm more motivated by myself. I'm much more motivated when I have people with me. You know what I mean? My friends that I've mentioned their names on here, and I've ridden with and I've run with and so forth. But what I found funny, or not funny, just different between you and I, and I won't speak for you, but you can share it here in a minute. And that is, the conversation was, John's looking at going and working out with the group he's been working out with before, which I'm like, John, isn't that like 2 hours? He's like, oh, it's only like an hour and a half. And for me, I guess, a different motivation in life, and that is, I have my wife, I have my little guy, so I'm already going to be, and let's just say I'm going to go do an hour and a half ride. By the time I get dressed, my friends meet me, go for a ride, come back, I'm killing better part of 2 hours to do that. I can't kill 5 hours to go do that. Like, I don't want to use air quotes and say waste a half a day. If I was single, or the kids out of the house, or the wife and I are both into it and she's coming with me as well, it's a different story. But with her staying at home, it's okay, I want to get my workout in, but I can't be back at 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon. I have too much other stuff going on, and as such, I guess that's my motivation is, I want to get my workout in, but I don't have the availability. I want to say the luxury of time to go somewhere. Because if I was to travel, and I'm going to round up on it once again from an hour and a half to 2 hours, within 2 hours of where my town is, anybody who knows Pennsylvania, I can cover probably half to 3/4 of Pennsylvania in that little time frame. Erie's about 3 hours from where I'm at. Pittsburgh's about 2.5 hours. I can, Tuna, I could almost be to Harrisburg in 3 hours. I can cover a large geographic portion of the state.
Right.
So there would be lots of potential tri-group, running groups, cycling groups that I could get to. And would I like to go do some stuff with them? Yeah, that'd be a really cool experience. But there's no way I'm going to do it. I don't even want to say once. There's no way that I could do it consistently and go be with them, just because, like I said, that's going to kill. I only get 2-day weekend, like most of us do, and to drop kill half of that time. I don't want to sound weird when I'm saying I'm already allocating enough of our weekends between our races and the travel that we do. I'm already monopolizing enough. We only have 252 weekends in a year. I'm already taking up enough of them that I can't commit to another 15 or 20 to go do these things as well.
Yeah, well, we're obviously in two different places in our lives, right?
Yes.
So, I started looking back and I said, well, I was really motivated for a long time, and what was different then than is different now. So when I started looking at it, I said, well, I was getting up on Saturday mornings at 5:00 in the morning and driving to Claremont to ride or run or whatever, and then driving home, and I was motivated to do that. I would do it like 2 days on a week, and like do it Saturday and Sunday. But I'm in a different spot. I didn't have a small child at home, right? Yeah. And I was just in a different place relationship wise at that point. So, but I find that motivating, because I find it more motivating to get up at 5:00 in the morning and have to drive an hour and a half to do something than to get up here and go a mile down the road and do it.
Right. Now, question, you're getting up, forgetting the time, when you're doing it there, do you have a group, or is it you're by yourself?
I'm by myself more than likely. And that's become, especially over maybe the last 6-7 months, that's become a problem, I guess. I don't want to say a problem, but
a difficulty.
A difficulty, yeah, because it's hard to talk about, but almost the same kind of thing is like, you want to be able to have the freedom to do these things, because they're important to you, and and you have to do them for your own mental stability, as far as I'm saying, as far as I go.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that since I have not been doing it like I did before, I'm relapsing.
Yeah.
And I don't like it, and it's starting to affect me in a lot of other ways. Weight is just one of them, and I need to recapture that. So,
now, do you think if you had a group there, circling back to it, and then let you continue with it here, if you had a group of 2, 5, 10, I don't know, 20 people that you could ride or run with there, and they were waiting on you, and I'm not saying dependent on you, but if do you think that would have as much of an impact for you, or you still need that? Is it like the drive that makes it the commitment as well?
I think it's partly the drive. It's partly the people. Not to say the people here aren't good, but I've spent a long time developing. I've known Jennifer for 8 years. Someone just knocked on my door. I've known Jennifer for 8 years, and there's a relationship there. We know each other, and I've known the people that I ride with and run with there for years. So there's a relationship there. They know me. They know my strengths. They know my weaknesses. To have to start over with a whole new group here is not motivating for me. I don't, It's almost like starting from ground zero. And not that I'm running back to my old group, but I liked being with them.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was like, we were working our asses off, riding up those hills in Claremont. I know, hills and butting quotes, but it was fun. And I'm just one that doesn't mind driving. I don't mind it. It's kind of relaxing to me in a way. And it makes me get out, it makes me get out, get up at 5 and get in the car and go somewhere instead of, I'm more likely that if, I guess, this is, just a weakness of mine, I guess I'm more likely to not do it if it's local. But if I have to get up and drive to it, I'm more likely to get up and do it.
Yeah. To me, and I guess in agreement and not in disagreement with anything you're saying, to me, it's more, it just goes back to, like I said, the completely truism that's out there. And that's, if I'm beholden to somebody else, you know what I mean? If I have one person waiting for me, I'm going, whether that's local or whether that's somewhere else. And, I can ride up to harder. I find myself, like when I'm out with my friend Brian, riding much harder just to keep up with him. He's just such a better athlete, but also said, if I go out with some friends who are not as good, cyclists, I easily just find myself, kicking back, sitting up in the bars, different gearing just to ride along, have fun and talk with them. What I mean?
I think there's something to that. Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, whoever I'm going with, if I have somebody, I know I'm getting the ride in,
Right.
But if it's up to myself, I just, I will still go get the ride in, but I can do the same ride with or without somebody. I'm almost 99.9% of the time going to be faster, better. And I don't want to say more competitive because I'm not doing it in the, I want to half wheel them the whole way. But you just for me, I just tend to ride faster and better when I'm with other people, what I mean? And I'm definitely going to get out and do it. And, I'll go out and do it myself, but you start, just when I'm out there running, at least I guess I got some music or podcasts. I can get out of my own head a little bit, but when I'm just out there riding, I love the scenery, but after a while you got no one to talk to. And, you start really thinking about turning back early as well.
Yeah.
Who's gonna know? No one's gonna know.
And
then you get mad at yourself, and then you got to go through that whole thing. So
well, there's something to that because I've found that people that cycle as their main sport or as part of a triathlon tend to do it more in groups than people who run. There's a lot of solo runners out there. I think of Christine Cox right off the top of my head, who goes out there and runs 10 miles every morning. By herself.
Yep.
I could never do that. Not because I wouldn't want to do 10 miles every morning, but because I just don't want to I don't want to run by myself. And I think people who cycle tend to do it more in groups than people who run. There's you don't find a lot of solo cyclists, but you find a lot of solo runners.
Yep. I buy that.
Yeah. And so, and I know there's going to be people say, I solo ride all the time. It's not a a hard and fast rule, but you do find a lot more solo runners than solo cyclists.
Right.
But, and I think part of being with the group though, is having some accountability to somebody,
Yes.
if I tell Jennifer, okay, Sunday, I'm going to be there at 7:00, I'm going to be at Waterford Park in Claremont at 7:00. I'm going to do a swim. If she rides from her house in Eustis to Waterfront Park, and meet me after the swim, and then we'll ride.
Yeah.
And if I tell her I'm going to be there, I need to be there. And that's motivating to me. That's wanting to be there for someone. I don't want, there's too much of this. I don't want to say that. Never mind. But I'll tell you offline. But okay. it's there's somebody there. There's somebody expecting me to be there. Even if it's Jennifer or it's Jennifer in a group or anybody, that I'm more likely to be there. I will be there unless I'm dead, so, very rare will I miss a workout. Team and training, when I was with them, I mean, that works for a while, but if I don't feel, I don't want to say part of the group, because I did feel part of the group, but if I feel like, everybody's like 10 times better than I am, and there's nobody at my level, I'll lose motivation, because then once again, you're running by yourself. Yeah. Even though you're part of a group, you're running by yourself again, because everybody's like 2 miles ahead of you.
I've never trained with a group like that, but I could very much understand that.
Well, I kind of joked about it online when you said about join us at Fire on a Mountain. I said, what's this join us stuff? You'll be miles ahead of me. I'll be running by myself. That's what I meant. I won't be with anybody. But, that's where I was coming from with that comment back to you. I don't know if you caught that.
I did.
Yeah, it was like,
I did, but other people were quickly chiming in on it with come on, John, love you. So
yeah.
You need another hug.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't anything to do with that. It's just like, I know me. And I know that if I go up there and there's 10 people up there and I'm going to be running by myself, I probably won't go.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. It's just, if I'm at your level, I'll be there in a second.
Yeah.
Because, then it's fun. Then you're running with people you like to be around.
Yeah.
You're not out there slogging through that stuff. I almost used the word suffering, and I know Megan hates that word when I use it, but, you're not up there suffering alone.
Yeah.
You're with somebody. So I think part of having a coach is having someone accountable for. Not to say that you're scared that I'm going to see you didn't do something, but I know when Megan I don't have a coach. I haven't used, Megan hasn't been my coach for a while now. And I think that's part of it is that there's nobody checking my stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody's
up in your business.
Nobody's
John?
Up in my business. But there's something to say about that. Okay. If Megan sent me a plan in Training Peaks and she's not seeing that I'm doing it, well, I have to answer her for that. She's going to ask me, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
I have one client I have to do that to all the time. It's like, are you not running? What, that's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What's going on? And then, then I get the answer. Well, you should tell me these things, let me know what's going on, so I'm not guessing here. But when Megan was the coach, Megan was coaching me. So I had that, and I haven't had her as coach. And, it's like, what's the word? I'd work for myself, but the boss is an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like, coaches are bad coaches to themselves. Usually coaches need other coaches.
I hear that. I get that.
So doctors are bad patients, things like that. Nurses are the worst, because, it's just doctor heal thyself, things like that. So that accountability thing is huge, I think.
Totally get that.
Yeah. And I haven't had that either. And even the people that I've been training with for the past year, they don't hold me accountable.
Right.
So, and I'm not holding them accountable either for one reason or another. And it's just become this vortex, and I got to get out of it. And I just got to get out of it. So this is the first step this weekend. I'm going to drive to Claremont, and I'm going to ride, and I'm going to swim, and I'm going to do those Claremont triathlons that I used to do years ago. I'm going to do one in September.
Making a reappearance, Sean.
Making a reappearance into the Claremont triathlon scene, and I, So I got to get in the water. So I got to get out there and get in the water. I got to get, I got to get in the hills again. I got to get used to running afterwards. And, I haven't done, I think the last time I did that race was 2016. So
just a small, it's not that bad.
It's only a couple of years, right?
Well, it's only 18, so I don't know when it is. I don't, so
well, 17 I did. In the 17 I did all the duathlons.
Yeah.
No, is that right? No, 16 I did. No, it's been like since 2015. Because 16 I did duathlons, 17 I did all 5Ks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been 2015 since I did a triathlon out there. That's scary.
You're due, John.
I know. I got to get back out there.
Get a PR.
Yep. And just thinking around, just getting back into it and getting the other issue we talked about before we went on was my race schedule has been like non-existent for other reasons.
Motivating thing. Some folks you need it for out there, and some people don't. So you're saying you are one.
I am definitely somebody that, and we've talked about that in the past. I'm definitely someone that needs races in front of me to motivate me, and I haven't had those, and mostly for financial reasons. I just can't afford it right now, and and we all know triathlons are expensive. You're not talking about $20 races, but
that's the good news about Fire on the Mountain, John. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, $45 is cheap, right?
Yeah,
it's $45 for the race, but it's still in Pennsylvania, and I'm in Florida.
Not in Pennsylvania.
You know what I mean? I mean Maryland. You know what I meant.
There you go.
I mean Maryland. But yeah, that's what I was saying to you the other day. It's like, yeah, it's $45 for a race. I still got to get there, right?
True.
All right. So you're still talking about gas or flight or however I get there. And there's more to it than that. It's not just a 3-hour ride. I think it's 3 hours for you, right?
Less than that. Yes.
Yeah, it's even less. So it's there's overnight stays involved. So, but.
See, if it's 1,000 miles, if you drive 500 miles an hour, you're here in 2 hours.
That's true.
Yeah.
Y'all don't think my road can do that, man.
You could try.
I'll try it. When it like craps out like right outside Tampa.
Call an Uber.
Wonder how much an Uber will cost to Maryland.
I'm not offering to pay for that. Not going to find out.
Oh, I'm going to put it in and see what it costs. I'm going to put it into the app and see if it even comes up. Probably come up with, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Well, we don't even have Uber around up here, so.
You don't have any Uber drivers?
John, I mean, like, my town is 2 miles long. Why would we have Uber?
Lazy people.
True.
You call it Uber to go downtown.
Too many DUIs. So.
But yeah, I pull up Uber, the app, and it shows you like cars, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it'll show you the map of where you're at and where the cars are.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm surrounded by them. Like I can get an Uber within 2 minutes at any time.
Must be nice.
Yeah, no, I still got to pay for it, but
True.
Tampa, there's a lot of Uber drivers around here.
Yeah.
It costs like $30 to get to the airport, which is only like 12 miles away, 13 miles away. So that's a lot of money, but
cheaper than parking.
Cheaper than parking, exactly.
Yep.
So did we beat that one to death?
We did, and we've hit that topic previously, and this is just kind of a modern update on it. So I mean, I don't think we didn't need to go through tons and tons of it. They can hit the back episodes to get more on it. So I guess the next thing then, or what I had said was going to be the first thing is my so out there. All right, so let me rephrase it. When I went for a run, when I went to do the dam try before going on vacation, I'd said that it was raining all that time before. So I usually pack a pair of running shoes, if I'm going somewhere or like for racing. So they're in my bag. And that's where I'd said I'd talk, and I'm going down a few rabbit holes, but this makes sense to me. My running racing shoes, I'm still wearing a set of Saucony Kinvara 4s, Saucony, however you pronounce that. So that being said, I still have one set that I still wear them for training, but the reason why I wear them for my racing is I have stretchy laces in them, and that's where I said I was going to talk brands. I've had a set of those things that are called Hickeys. They're like these little, almost like rubber bands, But what I found for when I'm putting my shoe on in transition, if I pull the tongue too hard, since they're like 6 individual little things, they pop open, which defeats the purpose because then they're really hard to get redone, especially with wet hand or slippery hands.
Yeah.
So I use, and I think there's lock laces and lace locks or lace tights. I don't know. Basically, it's like a long elastic shoelace with a little plastic, like when I say the little push and squeeze thing that goes on, like if you were adjusting a hoodie or a drawstring, they have those on them. That way I know my shoes are always set in the same position. As I said, I'm still rotating those shoes through. They didn't make their way onto my guess the mileage or thing, but but I also then I'll wear one of my other sets of running shoes. So that way, if that's my whole redundancy thing, if one of my shoes, if I was to break a lace or tear a shoe or something, I still have a backup. That way I can use it for the other time. So when I went to pick up my shoes, when I went to pick up my bag, I stepped in mud and I got my blue Brooks really muddy. And then doing the race, I got my Sauconys, the orange ones, which weren't on the thing, so it doesn't matter. They got really muddy. So what happened was I basically wore flip-flops up to the Finger Lakes. And then when we got there, first thing I did when I got to the hotel room was I pulled the insoles out of my shoes, kind of rinsed them. I washed the shoes. I hit them with a towel, like cleaned them up like as best I could to almost make them look like brand new, right? Set them on the air conditioning unit so there's some air blowing over them to dry them. Next day they were perfectly fine and dry and ready to go. That being said, my wife looked at my Brooks, and somehow when I run, I must pull like my feet too close together, and like the heel of one foot kind of catches my other ankle. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that when I come off of a run, I will have marks on my legs, like muddy marks when I come off of trails or the rail trail. So I kind of tear right behind on almost all my shoes have a little tear right behind the top eyelet or whatever that would be, must be the heel of one shoe kind of coming across and essentially cutting the other one. My wife saw that because now the shoes looked brand new from the top. And that's what I wanted to say and I don't want to say as a non-runner, she's done two half marathons. She's completed 2 of them, and she's done a little bit. But she doesn't really track her mileage. She's not into any of that or all of that, like how I do. And that's kind of why I track mileage. She looked at my shoes and she said, I can't believe those tore already. She said, I can't believe those are torn already. And I had said to her, well, I have about X miles on it. And she just looked at me and she said, no way. And I said, and then I kind of went through it because I bought these, trained in them, and ran Pittsburgh in them. So I've had these, 6-7 months now at this point. You know what I mean?
Right.
But once again, I'm rotating shoes. So it's rare that I'll hit 2 days in a row of the same shoe unless I'm trying to break it in. So do you want me to tell everybody what I did is I kind of broke it down. I went per shoe. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who's not in our Facebook group, I put the photos out there, but I also put 3 photos of each shoe. And overall, a top-down looking view, kind of the inside where I was wearing them, and then the tread on the bottom, which is the most telling for runners. Had I not put those other photos, I'm curious what people would have said. But anyways, I went through and I put a couple of quotes that some people had told me. I put the best guess, I put the worst guess, and then I put my actual mileage. Do you want me to?
I didn't see all that. Did you put all that out there?
No, I no. I didn't put any of this on the Facebook page. I wanted to go through it here, and then I'll post it back on there.
Okay, all right, yeah, hit me.
So what was, John? Do you remember what you told me? I said
300 to 350, right?
You said that on all my shoes.
Yeah, because they looked worn to me.
Okay.
So when the tread gets to where I was looking at, that's usually around 300 to 350.
Okay.
That's where I was going from.
I'm gonna go newest, I believe, to oldest here on my shoes, and that is my newest shoes, age-wise, would be my blue Brooks. They're Brooks Levitate. I don't know if there's a model number with it. One person had commented and said, and they basically said they're not too old. I can either go, if we play Price is Right rolls, nobody was correct on this because everybody was over. Everyone was over. But I'm going to have to give a tie to Steve and Renee. Okay. Because Steve had guessed 450, Renee had guessed between 400 and 500 miles, which is, Renee, come on, that's a little cop out. 100 miles on a running shoe.
Yeah,
being that the manufacturers only tell you 200 to 300 on most of them, that's 50% margin of error there. Come on. But anyways, at the time that I put that photo up, I had 385 miles on those Brooks.
Okay.
On my black Saucony, they're Peregrine, Peregrine, I think. Yeah. And they're number 5. I think they're up to a model 7 now. Those are the black trail shoes. Somebody wrote, definitely broken in. When I say the worst guess, and that was somebody had said, and they even put how I had to put this in here, because I do have a set of Brooks. Once again, I have Brooks, Saucony, Newtons, 3 different shoe makes here. But somebody said Brook Aerialis, but they then said they look worse than either the blue or the Newtons. And that being said, is the Brooks are blue shoes, the Newtons are also blue shoes. So by process of elimination, they had to have meant this set, which was the black set.
Right.
The best guess was Steve at 200, because I have 267 miles on these shoes, I have more that I want to say on this in a minute, and I'll come back to it. My last set was Newton Motion 3s is the model there. Bill said they look worn out. The worst guess was John C. Harris with 300 was what you had said. Okay. Best guess, once again, Steve and Renee. Steve says 6. Renee said between 6 and 7. Okay. At the time of that, I had 611 miles on those shoes.
And those were, to say it again, which ones those were?
Newtons.
Okay.
So the reason why I want to put all this up there and go through it, and I'm gonna go through a few things that I've heard through the years, a few things I've done through the years, and then just when I even say it, I pulled and it's not a current article. It's a New York Times, February 18, actually, of 2013. So this is about a 5-year-old article, when to retire running shoes. And it goes through a few things, and it said, Ryan Hall, one of the best distance runners. Once again, this is 5 years ago, this article came out. And he said he used to brag about how he'd wear the shoes down to nothing. But now he replaces them in about every 200 miles. So keep in mind, Ryan Hall's at that time in peak training, some people are doing 100, 150 miles a week, these elites. So he's going through, 2-3 pairs of shoes a month.
He also gets them free.
Oh, I was going to say, he gets them. That the very next line in the article says, of course, Mr. Hall is sponsored by ASICS.
There
he's
you go.
not paying a set.
Right.
I went through 3 or 4 or 5 different things. I'm going to hit the highlights here. Some people talk and they say about people running 100 miles a week. Most people, the most conservative or consistent numbers you're going to see, people are going to say replace your shoes between 400 and 500 miles, and on the top end. Okay. With that, a lot of these people, they're in this New York Times article. It does go through, and this is, I'm cutting it down here because we're getting near the end of the show. And that is, most people say that you're replacing the shoe because the foam wears out, the cushioning wears out, you're going to get injured. In this article, I'm going to read this right from it. I'm going to pull a John here. I'm going to just hit a couple of things. Dr. Jacob, I'm going to spell the last name Schelde. He's out of a university in Denmark. He was running trials, and he found that the researchers failed to find any clear relationship between how long running shoes were worn and a runner's risk of injury.
I believe it. Yep.
Okay. And everyone has a few different things on here. Some people basically say that skimming, summarizing. Some people say that they retire a certain shoe after 400 miles. Some people say, hey, I have had the same set and I have between 1,000 and 2,000 miles on the shoe.
Right.
I say all that to come back to my wife at a quick glance is looking at my shoes only once again from the top, which are aesthetically perfect with the exception of one little tear. She didn't see the bottom, not that she would have known much what that meant. But each of these shoes, when I say is built differently, and I'm putting a guesstimate because when I say I want to follow up with this, I'll follow up later in the year when as I retire these shoes. I will keep you guys in the loop to let you know where I'm at and what ends up actually happening. The Brooks are a more cushiony shoe. I bought them just to have a little bit more cushion, and I usually wear them using my Hansen plan as an example, mostly on the road, only so they stay cleaner versus a rail trail or so forth, but they stay cleaner, but they wear, if John, you had noticed, kind of in a certain spot where a little bit of the heel and a little bit of the toe area,
right.
mostly my strike and my launch, so to say,
right.
And I only wear them longer runs, 10 miles, 15 miles or so. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't wear them on a lot of short runs. My trail shoes that, once again, it came back as most people said they look worse. They said that people thought they looked the worst and that they didn't. They had their need to get tossed. When you actually hold the shoe and look at it, the tread is untouched on them, mm-hmm. but they look just like garbage on the top because they're always dirty. So the top of the shoe, I didn't clean that set before I took the photo, so it looks bad. The tread is perfect, and I have no issues with them. So I still have, like I said, I got 260 miles on them. So going back to the Brooks, I'm probably going to guesstimate I'm going to get 600-700 miles out of them based on my current wear and how I'm using them. These trail shoes, personally, like I said, I got 260 on them. I don't even feel like they're completely broken in yet.
Right.
And that's
I was going to say that the couple of pairs of trail shoes I have two different models of Solomon's. Mm-hmm. And I was going to say this after you got done, was that they don't seem to be wearing at all. Mm-mm. I mean, I've been wearing these. I bought those for Infinitus, so over a year now.
Yeah.
And I look at the tread, and now when you look at them, especially the one pair that I wore in Infinitus, they kind of stink because mm-hmm. they got all wet up there. But
yeah,
I mean, like you said, it's like they feel like they're just getting broke in.
Yeah.
To me, and
Karen and Megan might chime in and give us some more on that. And I want to go. I'll hit what I'm thinking in a minute here with that. Talking about my Newtons, Bill thinks they look worn out. Like I said, I have 600 miles. Twice what you had thought. The other folk were right around the right mileage there. My last set of Newtons, I got rid of at about 750 miles, but they were a different model. They didn't have – these current ones have a little bit of rubber on the back of the heel. The other ones didn't. So all the hill work that I was doing, when I was coming downhill, I was heel striking a little too much, and basically it was foam. It wore right out on these other ones. I'm based on the wear, I'm guessing that I'm going to get probably 900 to 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Because once again, I use these for speed work and hill work, So for my speed work, I'm trying to 4-foot strike. There's the lugs, because Newtons are made differently. They have these little finger lug things underneath the front foot.
I hated them, but to be honest,
they're fine by me. They don't bother me whatsoever.
Some people love them. I could not take them. I gave my pair away to because I got a pair for free. I gave them to Randy Messman.
Yeah. I'm indifferent. If I can have a shoe that I'm going to buy and then get more wear out of, that's what I'm going by. But that all being said, I said I'm just guesstimating what mileage is I'm going to try to get out of these shoes. My rule of thumb, and that being said, is the one person in here said, Coach Tom Fleming. Once again, I'm back to this New York Times article. He has his method of figuring out if the shoe's worn out. Put one hand in your shoe, press on the sole with your other hand. If you can feel your fingers pressing through, they're thrown out, get rid of. They're worn out, get rid of them. And that's where, like I said, I rotate. So once again, too, though, that's part of my variation. If I'm going on a long run, I'm wearing my long run Brooks. If I'm going on a short run, one day I'm going to wear, if it's a speed work, I'm wearing my Newtons. The next day I'm going to wear my Kinvaras, because I'm just going out for an easy 4, 5, 6 or whatever. So I'm rotating shoes, which is another thing they say is if you're consistently beating that one shoe at day after day after day after day, and you're only wearing one, you're going to wear them out quicker because the foam doesn't have time to recover and so forth. So rotating different shoes, you're going to get a longer lifespan out of them. In addition, though, is if I go out for a run and then I notice something hurts, and this is just knowing yourself and whatnot, if I come back and if I have my pinky toe is numb, I'm going to pay attention. What shoe did I wear? And then I'm not wearing that same set of shoes the next day. It'll be 3 or 4 days later before I might be wearing them again. If I feel that same feeling, a pain or a numbness, or if I start to get blisters, soon as that happens, I don't care what my mileage is, I'm done. I've had shoes that I've only worn for 50 miles. That's a good part behind going to a local shoe store versus a big chain is these folks will actually fit you and give you a guarantee. Go running them for a month. And if you have a problem, bring them back. So that way, if it's not a proper fit, you can get a return on it. Right. So, but as I said, for me, once I know what's working for me, these are all working. I had a much higher, I'm not saying higher mileage than people. I figured our folks in the group know a little bit about, and we're going to be able to look at some of that stuff. But I just thought it was interesting coming from and I don't want to say the layman, which is one thing that I very much that I did see. And the one piece of advice, because I said once, I'm currently wearing a pair of dress shoes, Lems 9 to 5, but they're a minimalist shoe with no support in them whatsoever. They're just flat rubber like a moccasin, okay? Leather and rubber, I should say. But they say don't buy used running shoes off of eBay because you don't know the mileage, and also whoever broke them in probably isn't going to have the same footfall, the same cadence and strike that you do. As such, they're not going to be worn the way that you would. Yeah. But you have somebody that uses them, wears them out, gives them to Goodwill. Somebody else might go and buy them and say, hey, this is a $180 shoe, puts it on eBay. You buy it for $30 thinking you're getting a deal. But, if it has aesthetically, once again, it might look one way, but it might have worn much differently. Yep. So all that makes sense. It made sense in my head, and I thought it was going to be something good to cover.
Yeah, so. I think it is good to cover, especially people that are new to it that don't really look at that stuff. But,
yeah.
I know a lot of people do.
Device, you can go out there and you can set gear, and then it's just a matter of, like, if you only have one set of them, you can make it your default. That's why 9 out of 10 of my bike rides are done inside on my trainer through the winter. My default bike is the Fuji Berkeley, so it automatically tags that in every single one. Right. So when I went and did this race the last weekend, I actually had to go back out, deselect it, and then add my Specialized as the bike that I had used for it. Yep. I don't have a default running shoe since I rotate through so many of them, but it's literally, if you're using a Garmin, once your shoe is in there, it's when I say 1 or 2 clicks, you just go into your activity. I'm going to try to click it as I'm telling everybody here. So you open the Garmin Connect app, you click on the activity, then in the upper right it is.
I think so. It says gear. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little 3-dot thing. You click it. It says add or remove gear. You just pick it from the list. You literally touch it, boom, it's added, done, and it's automatically tracking. Right. In addition, when you set that gear up, you can put a limit. You can say 200 miles, 300 miles, 700 miles, whatever you think. So if it's your first time and it's your first experience and you don't know how it's going to work, just arbitrarily put it at 300. And then as it's nearing in, you can always edit that later and say, oh, these are barely worn out. I'm going to give it a lot more. It's just so you know what it is and if you're trying to track that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I track my gear. I track my gear in there too. I know a lot of people don't. But I find it interesting. I even have my bike in there as well because I like to know how many miles I have. Almost 3,000 on my Lightspeed now.
Yeah.
So and I'll ride it until it cracks. So.
Yep.
but that's how it goes.
I'm looking. I don't think I have that much on any of my bikes.
Yeah.
The one
Remember,
bike
this has been my only
1600
bike.
and-
Yeah.
the one bike has 16. The other bike I have 1,000. The other, anyways. But what I like too is I added that running stroller. So I can tell you, it tells me the time since I first used it, September 1st, 2017, and I've put 208 miles on that running stroller.
Nice.
Since we added it on. So,
Nice. The little guy's got some miles on him, huh?
yeah, he's having fun.
All right, man.
All quality nap time.
So this weekend coming up, you have a race, and then you have vacation.
I do. So as I said on the top of the show, next week we can check in. We can see how you went, how you did there in your traveling and training and motivation.
Yep.
I'll give a more in-depth rundown on the race because I've never been to this one. I don't know what it's like, what the field or competitors are. So
It's
I can share
all new.
Oh yeah. So it's either going to be, yay, look how good I did, or man, I'm never going back.
There's some fast people in Harrisburg.
That's it.
All right. Anything else tonight?
That's all I got.
All right, man. Go home, spend some time with your family.
Will do.
All
Talk
right,
to you
we'll
later.
talk to you later.
See you.
Thanks for listening to the Endurance for Everyone podcast. If you have comments or questions for the show, send an email to teamE4E at enduranceforeveryone.com. And remember, swim calm, bike strong, and run steady.